هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين. أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Introduction to Islamic Mysticism based on Ayatollah Mutahhari's book, Rahmatullah alayh. In this session, we start a new chapter of the book, which is actually the last chapter, and that is about some technical terms that Islamic mystics use, special terminology that they have. Normally, every discipline uses some terms that either are totally new, some names, for example, in medicine or physics or chemistry or biology might be totally new, but many times they use the same names that people are using, the same terms, but for a specific meaning, for a technical meaning. Therefore, for every group of people who want to familiarize themselves with a specific discipline, they need to know of these names and concepts. If they don't know, they don't understand. Ayatollah Mutahhari says Irfan is not an exception. Irfan has also lots of technical terms, it has its own terminology. But there is something special about Irfan, and that is if you don't know their terminology, not only you don't understand what they mean, actually you may misunderstand, because many of these things that they use are used by people in normal context for other meanings, and sometimes very much opposite to what Urafa mean. For example, when Urafa talk about khamr, about wine, about, for example, saqi, who distributes khamr, about, for example, a place of selling wine, if you don't know what they mean, not only you don't understand their ideas, rather you would then get confused and you think, oh, these people are people who are drinking wine, and they keep thinking about these things. Or when they talk about love and beloved, so you have to be familiar with what they mean, because especially many of these mystics have also poetic language, and many times they use also symbolic language. So we need to familiarize ourselves with the language that they use. Another thing is also that mystics are very much concerned about not disclosing everything to everyone. Especially, some mystics, they try to keep things very secretive very much to the people that they trust. Maybe you have heard from me that Ibn Sina used to say to teach hikmah, philosophy, because even philosophy up to recent was something which many times was not publicly taught. Ibn Sina says to teach philosophy to someone who is suitable for that, it's a service, it's a khidmah, it's something important to do. But if you teach philosophy to someone who is not suitable, you have done khiyana to philosophy. If you teach it to someone who is suitable, it's a service. And if you deprive him, would be a kind of khiyana, kind of betraying that person. If you teach philosophy to someone who is not suitable, you have betrayed philosophy and have not done good to that person. Irfan is actually even more, because it's more difficult and there are lots of impurities can get on the way of a person who goes to Irfan. So they try to keep it very private and very confidential for most part. Of course, there have been cases. The late Imam Khomeini used to say that his teacher Ayatollah Shah Abadi Rahmatullah Alayh had a lesson dars akhlaq, talab bazari, people from the market, all different types of mu'minin used to go. And he was explaining very deep and profound ideas, some of them mystical ideas. Some people used to tell him, Allah, these are not appropriate for such mixed gathering. And he used to say, بگذار این کفریات به گوش اینها هم برسد. Let's leave these kufriyat, these things that some people consider to be kufr, reach the ears of these people. Perhaps he was teasing the people who were attacking Irfan, but on the other hand, he had the idea that people should hear and get used to it, and somehow not to be very surprised if they hear something and they think something is odd or strange. So he had this kind of policy. Of course, I am sure many things he used to say to his own talebe, like Imam Khomeini, that he didn't say to the public, but he had something also for the public. But some people know, they deny at all, that they are involved in, completely they deny that they are involved in Irfan.
Bismillahir Nur, Bismillahir Nur, Bismillahir Nur.
Then Ayatollah Mutahhari says we have also an element which is to be noticed. There were some mystics, especially some Sufis, who are called Malamatiyye. Malamatiyye, and these were normally from Khurasan, northeastern Iran, but Khurasan used to be larger, including part of Afghanistan and Tajikistan. So because they spoke Farsi, so this title is coming from Farsi language, although the root is Arabic. Malamatiyye comes from lom, lama yalumu, means to blame. Malamat in Farsi means to blame. Why they are called Malamatiyye? They had this idea that in order to kill their ego, to get rid of their ego, in order not to be bothering about what people think about them, not to have any kind of interest in showing off whatsoever, not interest in the fame and position, they used to do things that actually would be counter to Riyah, a kind of negative riya. Normally, riya is what? You do something that people like and you want to show off. So, for example, if you are in a religious community, riya means to do something religious. If you are among, for example, secular people who are interested, for example, in, I don't know, some campaign, some charity, there are lots of ways to do riya. Politicians, for example, even in secular societies, politicians many times may do riya. Some politicians. To say something about human rights, about rights of labor, many things, because this is a way to attract attention and become popular. But Malamatiya had counter approach. They used to do things that people would then dislike them. People would actually sometimes hate them. Even sometimes people may think that they are kafir. For example, they used to go to a place that serves wine, alcohol. Of course, in the Muslim community, this is not a good thing that if you go to such places and then come out and then wiping and cleaning their lips, pretending that they had wine inside. Coming out and doing this would give this impression to people that this person was there drinking. Or, for example, not saying salat in public so that people think they don't say prayer. Or, for example, in the months of Ramadan, going to a place that serves food. Maybe they don't eat, but just going there, coming out, pretending. So they were doing things that people on the street would think very negatively about them. And in this way, they were trying to eradicate from their nafs any love for the opinion of people, for positive opinion of people. Sometimes also putting on very ugly, dirty clothes. And sometimes, for example, even one of them says, I was very happy that, there were so many insects inside my woolen cloak that I could not see whether those insects are more or the pieces of hair from the wool. Or, for example, one of them says, I was very happy, the same person actually, that once we were on a boat and they wanted to reduce the weight and they looked at everyone to see who is the one that they can throw him out, and they didn't find any person lower than me, less important than me, and they chose me. So these are called malamatiyya. Of course, Islamically, this is not right, because although you should not be interested in opinion of people as such, but you cannot disregard also opinion of people. In other words, our aim should not be to please people or to become popular, but as a means, this honor that Allah has given us, we need it. You need your health, you need also many other things, including respect in the society. You cannot do anything that would damage your respect and honor among the people. This is why we have in hadith, ittaqu mawadhi'a tuham. Avoid the places that would bring false accusations to you. So don't go to a place that people think you are also drinking. Be careful. If there are people who are watching, even if you want to ask an address, a direction, be careful. If there are people that may judge you. In any case, some of these malamati have written books, have poems, have, anyway, some sayings. And because they had this approach, then it makes it even more difficult to understand what they mean if you are not familiar with the language. Because not only they didn't care about people misunderstanding them, they didn't care about educating everyone. They actually wanted to confuse some people so that they think negatively about them. Of course, their intention was good, but the method was not good. The means they used was not good. Anyway, what we want to say is that for every discipline, every science, you have to make sure that you understand their terminology, but much more so in studying Irfan. They have many technical terms. Their usage of these terms are also mixed with symbolism, mixed with a kind of secretism, and sometimes with a malamati approach, and sometimes the idea is also very deep. A term can be very simple term, but may need hours of discussion. So we have to familiarize ourselves with these terms. This is why in this introduction to Islamic mysticism, Ayatollah Mutahhari rahmatullah alayh has a discussion about these terms. Before we go to the terms, I would like to mention something that he says about Hafiz, because many of you know Hafiz, and maybe this question has already been in your mind, or maybe in future. Hafiz is also one of those people that sometimes uses the language which is like malamati. Actually, Ayatollah Mutahhari says some people believe that he was also malamati. And he many times says that you should not be worried about what people think about you. For example, گر مرید راه عشقی فکر بدنامی مکن. If you want to go to the path of love, don't be concerned about badnami, to have bad reputation. شیخ صنعان خرقه رهن خانه خمار داشت. Sheikh San'an is a famous figure. Attar, if you remember, we talked about Attar, who has Tazkiratul Awliya. Attar has this story, and some people actually say maybe this is a real story for Attar, and I will explain which figure can be Attar. Sheikh San'an was very lovable, respected Arif. He used to have hundreds of disciples, murid. He was in Mecca. He used to have 400, 700 disciples. Once he had a dream that he should go to the Byzantine or something like that. Rome in the past, it doesn't necessarily mean Rome. Rome means normally the Roman Empire, maybe Byzantine. He said to his friends that, and his, talabes, his students, his, murids, his pupils and disciples, that, I should go there, and they also joined him. Many of them went with him to that place. Over there, he saw a woman who was from another faith and used to be very, attached to her faith. And he fell in love with that woman. Now he's Sheikh, he's Arif, he has, his followers with him, but he fell in love and wanted to marry that woman. She said, I have some conditions. Maybe she didn't want to marry him, but wanted to test him, or wanted, to make him suffer, because he was a Muslim Sheikh, had gone there. So said, you have to disrespect Quran, you have to change your religion, you have to have the belt, they call it zonnar. Zonnar was a belt or something like a piece of clothes that they fasten around their stomach and back, like a belt for the Christians. You have to have that, and something also very difficult, you have to clean the place, the stable for the pigs. Imagine a sheikh who had hundreds of murid in Mecca now doing all these things. He accepted. His students told him, not to do this, he didn't listen. They left him. And he had a miserable life. Then when the student went back, one of the disciples who could not join them, asked them what happened. They said, our sheikh, is confused, has gone astray, has become kafir, and they told him the story. And he was very upset with them. And he said, all these years you have benefited from Sheikh. Now you have left him alone. He's a human being, he has made a mistake. This is the time that he needs you. You should not leave him. So he had a kind of approach which is like, treatment. He went there and he prayed hard to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, please rescue our Sheikh, please guide our Sheikh. He prayed a lot. And then, alhamdulillah, the Sheikh changed. And because of the bad behavior of that woman or other things, anyway, he changed his mind, he lost his love, and decided to return. Then that woman actually had a dream, because that woman was not, paying any attention and was not keeping her promise. Then that woman had a dream that sun has come towards the earth. There's so much coming down, humility, and telling her, you must marry the Sheikh. So he left his place, family, friends, community, and wanted to go with Sheikh and changed into Islam, religion of the Sheikh, and was so dedicated that then she actually was happy to give her life for this new path. She was boycotted, but she was happy. There are lots of discussions about this story, Sheikh San'an, and some say Sam'an. Is it real? Is it not real? And that person who actually went and rescued the Sheikh with dua, with love, some people say maybe it's Attar himself. So lots of discussion about it. And maybe that dream of the Sheikh was a test for Sheikh, was a way to also help that woman. Anyway, there are lots of discussions here. So Hafiz says گر مرید راه عشقی فکر بدنامی مکن. If you want to go to the path of love, don't be concerned about bad reputation. You may get bad reputation. Of course, if you take it superficially, it means that, people may say, you are careless about your faith, the issue of wine and love and other things, But you can take it deeper. Even very pious and committed people who go to the path of love and dedicate themselves to the will of God, not what people say, not what is common, not what is fashion, they should be aware that criticism would come. You cannot keep everyone pleased. You cannot especially keep people who are vocal pleased. So maybe it's the deeper meaning. Sheikh San'an. Now you know who is Sheikh San'an. Khirqe. Khirqe is the special clothes for the Sufis, especially for the teacher, for the master. It's very important. Sheikh San'an خرقه رهن خانه خمار داشت. Khammar is the one who gives wine, who sells wine. He says Sheikh San'an because he was in debt to the person who sells wine. Means he had so much gone there to take wine that he didn't have money. So as a kind of deposit, as a kind of guarantee, he left his own khirqe, which is very important, with whom? With the one who sells wine. Imagine what people could think about Sheikh San'an, knowing that, first of all, this person visits Khammar, then has interaction, then owes him, and then puts what? The symbol of being Sheikh as guarantee with the seller of the wine. It says you shouldn't worry about what people think about this. This, as I said, is not something that if we take it superficially we accept. You have to be careful, you have to respect your honor. But if you go deeper, what is deeper is that you have to be concerned about pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then as much as possible keep people pleased, happy as much as possible, but not by compromising about your values and principles. And if you are in this process blamed, attacked, even killed, sometimes killed by religious people, you shouldn't worry. In the course of history, many urafa were killed by religious people. Many of ulama have been criticized by religious people. Even many ulama were criticized by other ulama. Of course, sometimes also for good reasons, but there have been also cases that people were innocent. Those other ulama were mistaken. Alhamdulillah, in the school of Ahl al-Bayt, we don't have that many, but we have cases. Like Mullah Sadra, for example. Mullah Sadra was sent into exile by the Safavid king, and also Safavid king, was famous for being a Shia, although he was not, 100%, committed Shia, for example, maybe, but he seemed very committed. And it seems some ulama were happy, some ulama were not happy, but some were happy. And in many cases, it can happen in the course of history, in the whole religions, all religions we have this experience. But Hafiz himself also says, دلا دلالت Dila means oh heart. And sometimes when we talk to someone who is very dear also we may say دلا دلالت خیرت کنم به راه نجات. Oh heart, I want to show you, guide you, indicate to you the path of salvation. And this is a good dalalah, means good guidance. I want to show you something good, and that is the path of salvation. مکن به فسق مباهات و زهد هم مفروش. Very beautiful. Neither be proud in committing sins in front of people, and say, I don't care. Nor sell people zuhd, asceticism. What does it mean? It means neither pretend in front of people that you are a great zahid, a great mystic, a great mu'min, nor do the opposite. Both of them are wrong. Why you want to do something for the sake of people? Do what you are supposed to do. Neither do riyah, show off, nor do something to look, low in their eyes. Respect of mu'min should be preserved, but we try to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wisely. So it shows that Hafiz himself was aware of the issue of malamatiyyah. Mawlavi Rumi also had something about malamatiyyah, and sometimes kind of can be support. For example, he says, هین ز بدنامان نباید ننگ داشت، هوش بر اسرارشان باید گماشت. He says those people who have bad reputation, we should not think negatively about them and take this as a sign of shame for them. Instead, we should use our intelligence to understand their secrets. Because it's not that these people have bad reputation among nice people, wise people, experienced people, pious people. No. Many times they have bad reputation among the public. And the public can be very low in their understanding, can be judgmental, can be rushing their judgment. So you have to be careful. ای بسا زر که سیه تابش کنند تا شود ایمن ز تاراج و گزند. It's very common, it's very possible that gold, it should shine. Sometimes they make it dark. For example, they coat it with something like some dust or whatever, so that it doesn't look like gold. Why? Because they don't want thieves to find it and take it away. So sometimes great personalities have bad reputation in order to be hidden, to remain as hidden treasures. Again, on the surface, this is not right, but deep inside, there's a truth. You should not do this to yourself. You should not damage your reputation, but you should be prepared that this may happen to you even if you do everything properly. Unless you are a person who just sits at home or does everything as others do, then you may not get blamed. Even then you may get blamed, but it's possible. But if you are a person of dedication and you have brilliant for example, opportunities, ideas, like, for example, Mullah Sadra, like Ayatollah Qazi Tabatabai, like even Imam Khomeini, when he was a teacher in Qom, many of them had issues with other people. Imam Musa Sad in Lebanon. Many of these great personalities were very much criticized and blamed. Even Imam Khomeini says that once his son, Sayyid Mustafa, who later became a mujtahid, but earlier in Madrasiyya Fayziyya, drank water from a jar, and some people went and washed and basically, the tathir, they cleaned that jar because they thought Imam Khomeini is kafir because he teaches philosophy, and his son is also kafir. Son of kafir is kafir, so is najas, and we have to wash this. Can you imagine? So yes, this is true. This can happen. So you shouldn't volunteer, but this can happen. So you have to be careful.
Bismillahir Nur, Bismillahir Nur, Bismillahir Nur.
Inshallah, in the next session, we will have a short introduction to some of the technical terms that keep coming in mystical texts and mystical conversations and speech of the mystics based on Risaliye Qushayriye. Qushayri is one of the Sufis and Arabs that we discussed before, and we refer to his Risala, and based on that, Ayatollah Mutahhari is going to explain, of course, along with some of his own points. That would be, inshallah, our last session. I think in the next session, inshallah, we will be able to finish this introduction to Islamic mysticism. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send his blessings to all these great personalities that have dedicated their lives to him, to serve him and serve his cause, and have been able also to pave the way for others. Now we can benefit a lot from the heritage, from the experiences, from the beautiful points that they have left behind, and by having the guidance of great scholars like Ayatollah Mutahhari, Allama Tabatabai, Imam Khomeini, Ayatollah Qazi Tabatabai, some of our contemporary great scholars. Inshallah, we can follow this path. The main thing is that we should be committed. We should not change our minds, quickly and go from one, activity to another activity, from one place to another place. Few days become, very interested in spirituality. Then few days become busy with other things. Then again, say, no, I should go back. Persistence is very important. May Allah, inshallah, bless all of you. And may Allah, inshallah, also help me to be able to follow this path with you. Wa akhiru da'wana